what really transpired. Mr. Patterson, a former minister in the coalition government, according to the story, he was traveling to Washington, D.C., where they have this conference, diaspora conference, to discuss what they say issues relating to discrimination, on inclusiveness, and the like, meeting with the Congressional Black Caucus and other policymakers in Washington. So the opposition members traveled there. The conference started yesterday. It is continuing today. And Mr. Patterson attempted to leave Tuesday night. Now, let me tell you the sequence of events for you to understand what transpired. According to Mr. Patterson, he checked in. He said immigration, he checked through customs, and he was in the departure lounge for about 30 minutes when the immigration officer came to him and told him that there was something with his travel, and invited him back to the office or something like that. When he got back there, he was told that there is something in the system which says that he should not travel, and he was prevented. He explained to them that the law, he was on bail, and we'll talk about that. He's on bail, and the court did not grant any permission for him to not, the court did not rule that he should not travel. As a matter of fact, he claimed that when the matter came up before the magistrate, his lawyer, Mr. Hughes, made a request, and the magistrate expressly stated that Mr. Patterson is permitted to travel on official and other business. They were told that. They said they had to call higher up. That is what they say. And then apparently their attempt to call these higher ups failed, and so Mr. Patterson was denied boarding. He couldn't board. He was scheduled to leave on the American Airlines. The plane left without him. During all of this, he called his lawyer. His lawyer got on to the same people to tell them what the law is. They still did not budge, or they could not budge. But let me explain. As a frequent traveler going through Timiri, you go through there, and the first thing you do, you interact with the airline that you're traveling with. They check your documents, especially if you're going to the States. They want to make sure you either have an American passport, you have a green card, or any other passport you have other than an American passport, there's a valid visa. They go through that. When you do that, then you have to go and check through customs or canoe, where you put your suitcase on the scanner, it goes through. You then leave and you go to a first desk. That's just before you enter immigration. The desk is there where they will check your passport and your boarding pass to make sure you have that. And then you move beyond that part to the immigration area. Now you would have had to fill out your departure form and all of that. Now you present your departure form, your passport, to the immigration officers there. They will go through it. They will check the system. They go through it and they check the system. And once they check the system and there's nothing there preventing you from traveling, then and only then they allow you to go past that. So you go past that part, you go through the security where they scan your bags and sometimes frisk and pat you down, and then you go into the waiting lounge. I know from time, but sometimes too, if you're traveling in that area, before you get into the departure lounge, there's another security check there where they want to see your passport, your green card, and the like before you are allowed into the departure lounge. So Mr. Patterson went through all of that. And I am saying this, the police issued a statement, a plural statement, I would say. And basically, hear what they're saying. Let me read what they say. They're saying, after all of this, they said that the Guyana police force would like to apologize to Member of Parliament, Mr. David Patterson, whose name inadvertently remained on an immigration department's watch list. Mr. Patterson's name was placed on the watch list in July of 2023 during an ongoing investigation by the police into accusation of indecent exposure. The Guyana Police Force has internal SOPs to deal with such issues, and a full probe is underway by the Office of Professional Responsibility as to why Mr. Patterson's name was not removed earlier from the list. Mr. Patterson's name has since been removed from the watch list. Now, let me say this. Let me say this. Given the sequence of events, Mr. Patterson presented himself to the immigration officers. He would have presented his passport. He would have presented his the departure form to them. They would have gone through that. And they would have satisfied themselves that nothing was there to prevent Mr. Patterson from traveling. Let me understand this thing clearly. So we see they're trying to show these junior ranks under the bus. What I am saying that, and let me say this as a person who've passed through there frequently. These ranks, the immigration people, are very, very efficient. They might look young, but from my interaction with them, they are very efficient. And I dare say, and as I said yesterday, the immigration department is one of the more efficient departments in the Guyana police force. And I say that without any fear of contradiction, even though I understand now, and this is not their fault, that when you apply for a passport, currently you have to wait 2 months. But that's not the immigration people's fault, right? I recall under the coalition 1 week, you got your passport. So we're going to touch on that. But I'm saying he presented himself to the immigration authorities. Those people are efficient. They would have gone through that system and satisfied themselves that nothing is in the system to prevent Mr. Patterson from traveling. And that is then is only then they would stamp his exit on the in his passport and allow them to proceed beyond that point. He proceeded beyond that point. He was in the departure lounge for 30 minutes. About 30 minutes, he says. And then they're saying that somebody approached him to say something. So the question is, when did this thing appear in this this system, as they say, for the ranks not to have observed it before? And I'm saying, if at all anything appeared in the system, it had to be between the time Mr. Patterson checked through immigration and the time they approached him in the departure lounge. That's the only way. So when the ranks checked, he definitely would not have been in the system. He would not have been in the system. So when he passed, apparently somebody must have, I don't know what the reporting system, if they've ever reported to the chief immigration officer, who is the commissioner of police, or the deputy chief immigration officer, who is Telford, Stephen Telford, and whether they, because I am saying no one else would have authorized them to stop Mr. Patterson from passing. And I'm saying this from experience. Some people saying politicians might have gotten involved. I have no doubt that they may have gotten involved. But if a politician had called one of the ranks on duty to tell them to prevent Mr. Patterson from traveling, they would have, I'm sure, gotten on right away to either the supervisor, who would have gotten on to the DCIO, Deputy Chief Immigration Officer. Those ranks at the airport, those relatively junior ranks at the airport, would not have taken it upon themselves to deny Mr. Patterson boarding on that plane and put down your pipe and smoke it. So all this rubbish they come with, and let me bring in Mr. Conway for him to get to say, and then I'll come back and deal with it. Because there are other issues that I really want to expound on. But let Mr. Conway obviously at this stage. CC, let me hear what you have to say at this point.
I endorse the statements that you made in relation to the immigration rank. They're very, very efficient. And I think courtesy is their watchword. I had a lot of dealings with them. And I also had dealings with their boss, Mr. Telford. Very good officer. But the whole thing is unbelievable. Here it is, a former minister of government, a serving member of parliament, and you, according to the police, what I've read, put him on a watch list, which is illegal, and also saying, what is not saying that it should have been taken off because he was under investigation for exposing his genitals. And let me, I always like go to the law. And here is section 28(1) of the Sexual Offences Act, chapter 2010. They were saying, a person, the accused, and again the accused in bracket, commits the offense of exposing of genitals if the accused, A, intentionally exposes the genitals. Hear it? Intentionally exposes genitals of the accused, and B, intends that someone will see the genitals of the accused and cause alarm or distress. Let me repeat. Intends that someone will see the genitals of the accused and cause alarm or distress. That is the charge I understand that he has. And that is a charge, according to the police, that you could blacklist illegally. Blacklist, although blacklisting people is illegal. For that, a charge as simple as that. I wonder if Patterson said that he mistakenly dropped his pants and he didn't intend to cause anyone to be alarm or distress. And the thing is that I agree with you, Paul, that it had to be. I'm certain that that thing wasn't in the system. They're looking to sacrifice someone of the junior immigration officer or supervisor. That could never be in the system because they will check thoroughly. They have computerized system. They press a couple of letters and the name will come up. And then so the instructions are to come from someone high up, and I wouldn't be surprised that they call somebody and say, hey, when certain persons of interest are leaving the country, Patterson leaving the country, and then maybe the person must call some politician say, hey, stop him, don't let him go to Washington, you guys may talk nonsense, as the case may be. That the thing is illegal, and according to the Constitution, it is illegal. It's only a judge. Section Article 148(3)(d) talks about a judge passing the order to prevent you when you get matter in court, to prevent you from not a judge or a magistrate, to prevent you from leaving the country. You must get the order, gotta come from the court and nowhere else. Not the deputy immigration officer or the chief immigration officer. It got to come from the court. That is clear in Article 148(3)(d). But no, following politicians and sticking over in the neck, they're following politicians and doing the illegal things. They had no right whatsoever. And then look what they're saying is they apologize. I didn't see no apology there. They said they would like to apologize. Where's would like to apologize? I haven't seen any formal letter written to Patterson apologizing for the action taken whilst he was a teammate, whilst he was denied the opportunity to leave the country. There's no formal letter addressed to him. Just we would like to apologize. Total disrespectful. But the whole thing. And then again, here what they're saying, because only certain persons in authority could give the permission, the chief immigration officer maybe and his deputy, for him not to leave the country. And they're saying the OPR will investigate. So they can get the OPR investigating persons for a junior. The head of the OPR is a deputy soup. The deputy chief immigration officer, superintendent, and the chief immigration officer is a squatter. But his official his confirmed rank is an assistant commissioner. So you'll have a deputy superintendent investigating a superintendent and investigating an assistant commissioner who is squatting as an acting commissioner. So the whole thing is a mockery, and that's where incompetence comes in. Because when you're incompetent and you try your incompetent best, you're still incompetent. Let me repeat. You are incompetent and you try your incompetent best, you're still incompetent. They're trying to throw junior immigration officer under the bus, Paul.
Well, it is up to the junior people who they're trying to throw under the bus, whether they're going to stay there and be run over. I would urge them to say exactly what transpired. But a question is asked. Now, let me read it. Somebody asked a question here. The Guyana Police Force seeks to explain the second round without reference to the first. How Mr. Patterson or anyone else for that matter would end up on a no-fly list in the first place. That is the issue, and here it is. They're admitting to the wrong. They're admitting because they're saying that Mr. Patterson's name remained on this watch list. But why was his name on the list in the first instance? The Judge Justice Navendra Singh ruled on the 28th of December last year that the police have no authority to place anyone on any list or to remove or to prevent the person from traveling. And let me read excerpts of that. Let me read excerpts. It says, let me try to find what the judge said. One moment, give me the 1 moment, please. Yeah, the judge said, they said, before I go to that, the lawyer said, Mr. Hughes and Mr. Patterson, he said, last year there was a ruling against having a no-fly or blacklist. We specifically had asked the court, in this case, in Mr. Patterson's case, about my ability to travel and was granted permission. So why this? They specifically asked the court for permission to leave, and the court granted that permission, and the police disregarding the court. So that's why you're having breakdown in the rule of law, disregarding. In fact, the judge has ruled that the only condition attached to the grant of bail is the future appearance of the person who is bailed, while stating that if a court granting bail determines that condition, such as restricting a person from person's movement out of the jurisdiction, are needed. Those are conditions to be attached to the grant of bail. So in other words, when you're put on bail, the magistrate or whoever put you on bail will make those conditions. Will make those conditions. He said no such authority is reposed in the Guyana police force under any written law in Guyana. The judge informed in his ruling, adding that the respondent, that is the police, had clearly misdirected themselves with respect to the contention, their contention that Article 139(1) of the Constitution restricts the applicant's right to travel pursuant to a bail order made by the court. He said, and the judge went on to say that the said article does not restrict the movement of an individual who has been granted bail by the court. Clear as crystal. He goes on to say in the same thing, the Bail Act, he said, makes it very clear that conditions, including conditions restricting a bailed person's ability to travel, may be imposed by the court granting bail. It may be imposed. And in this case, as we have said, no such condition was imposed. Logically, if such conditions are not imposed by the court, then they will not exist, the judge asserted, before going on to state that the Guyana police force cannot restrict the movement of any person around or out of Guyana unless such restriction is provided for in the laws of Guyana or in pursuant to an order of the court. That is what the law is. That is what, and the people, and the thing about this is recent. This is December 2022. And you have people there who are violating. And I'm saying this because they're saying that it will not remove. I am saying that from the time that order was made, all the names that were on that list should have been removed immediately. And the only list that the police should have, the only list the police should have, the immigration should have, would be the names of persons that the court said are not allowed to travel. So, in other words, if a person is charged and they wanted to put that person on a list, they would have had to make an application to the court, and only after that application is made and the court decided that the person should not travel, then and only then they should compile the list. Then and only then. That is clear. And you know, the thing about this, as we have said, they have lawyers, or they have people who have admitted to practice law. They have the DPP who is quick to rule and give all sorts of directions. They have a police legal advisor. You want to know, none of these people can't tell them that this thing cannot operate this way. And we're saying, because I understand from a reliable source that Mr. Patterson is not the only one. Other people, he might be the most prominent, but persons are still on a no-fly list.